The last thing Jason Cole expected when he took a wrong turn on planet Viridia was to become the husband of an alien queen. Jason was a cargo pilot, independent, perpetually broke, and chronically unlucky. His ship, the Silver Finch, was held together by duct tape, borrowed parts, and pure stubbornness. He'd been running small jobs between frontier worlds for years, trying to scrape together enough credits to buy a new hyperdrive. Viridia was supposed to be a simple stopover. Refuel, restock, and maybe find a mechanic who didn't charge triple for off-worlders. But Viridia wasn't Earth. Its air shimmered faintly, its moons never set, and the locals, tall, elegant beings with iridescent skin and eyes that glowed like bioluminescent pearls, were notoriously private about their customs. Jason knew just enough to keep out of trouble. Or so he thought. Part 1. The Mistaken Entrance. Started with a storm. Viridia's atmosphere could whip itself into chaos without warning. Jason had parked his ship near the outskirts of the city of Luthra, a place built from silverstone and crystal spires that caught the twin suns and fractured their light into endless rainbows. When the wind started howling and violet lightning flashed across the horizon, Jason grabbed his jacket and bolted for the nearest building. The doorway was wide open, warm light spilling into the rain. Inside, music echoed, a deep, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate in his bones. He stepped in, shaking water from his hair. Dozens of Viridians turned toward him. They were dressed in shimmering fabrics that flowed like liquid metal, arranged in a wide circular hall decorated with floating orbs of light. At the center stood a towering arch made of intertwined crystal vines, pulsing gently with color. It was beautiful, surreal, and very, very quiet now that he'd arrived. Jason froze. Hey there. Sorry, storm out there. I just needed to. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. The Viridians began murmuring rapidly in their melodic language. Before Jason could back away, 2 attendants stepped forward, their eyes wide with reverence. "He has arrived," one whispered. "What? No, I'm just the groom of the prophecy," the other announced. Jason blinked. The what now? The hall erupted in musical tones of joy and astonishment. Bells, or something like them, began ringing. Flowers unfurled from the floor itself, releasing glowing pollen that drifted through the air like tiny stars. A group of musicians struck up a new rhythm, and someone gently, but firmly, took Jason by the arm and led him toward the arch. "I think there's been a hey, easy. I'm not whoa." The attendants draped a shimmering cloak over his shoulders. It felt warm, almost alive, adjusting itself to his body. Then she appeared. Part 2, The Bride of Light. The crowd parted as a woman approached. Tall, regal, her silver skin faintly translucent, revealing veins that glowed with soft blue light. Her hair was a cascade of silver threads, her eyes deep violet, almost human but far more ancient. She wore a gown that rippled like molten crystal. The hall fell silent as she stepped before him. Jason swallowed hard. I think there's been a mistake." Her voice was music. "You came as foretold. The one from the stars, the wanderer who arrives in the storm." "No, see, I really just..." She smiled gently, placing a cool hand on his chest. "The universe never errs." The attendants began chanting softly. The air shimmered, the arch pulsing with light. Jason felt the floor tremble underfoot. I'm not supposed to be here," he shouted over the growing hum. "Seriously, I'm just a pilot. Fix ships. I'm not whatever this is." Her gaze softened. "Then perhaps fate has chosen well. We too fix what is broken." Before he could protest again, a beam of light surrounded them both. Jason felt a rush of warmth, an electric pulse through his veins. For a moment, he saw flashes, stars collapsing, worlds forming, two souls intertwined across space and time. Then darkness. Part 3. The Awakening. He woke up in a massive bed draped in silver fabric. The air smelled faintly of ozone and strange flowers. His head pounded. Jason groaned. "What the hell happened?" "You are awake," came a familiar voice. It was her, the bride. She sat beside the bed, serene. "The binding is complete." "The what?" "Our union," she said simply. "You are now bonded to the house of Elora, by sacred vow and light." Jason sat up so fast he nearly fell over. No, that can't be right. I didn't agree to anything. I just walked into a building. She tilted her head, studying him. "You are not pleased." "Pleased? Lady, I think I just got married by accident. I don't even know your name." "I am Queen Cerethis of Viridia," she said, unbothered. "And by the ancient prophecy, the one who comes from the storm and enters the Hall of Union is chosen as consort to the queen." The signs were clear. Jason rubbed his temples. "Great. I crash a wedding and now I'm king. Perfect." "Consort," she corrected gently. "A king rules. A consort stands beside." "Well, that's slightly better." Cerethis's expression softened. "You may rest. The bond will strengthen over time. There is no need for fear." But Jason wasn't thinking about resting. He was thinking about escape. Part 4. The Consort's Dilemma. Over the next few days, Jason tried everything. He explained, begged, and even drew diagrams to show that he was just a lost human trying to find a dry place during a storm. But Viridian tradition was immovable. The prophecy had been recorded for centuries, foretelling that an outsider from the stars would unite with the queen to bring balance to the fading light. And Jason unfortunately fit every detail. He'd arrived during the storm. He was from beyond their world. He'd entered the sacred hall at the precise celestial alignment predicted long ago. The Viridians treated him with reverence. Everywhere he went, people bowed. Servants brought him fruit that glowed, robes that shimmered, and even a small hovering creature that followed him around to record his wisdom. He didn't have any wisdom, but the creature didn't seem to care. Cerethis, meanwhile, was patient. She tried to teach him Viridian customs, introducing him to the governing council, the planetary systems, and something called the luminal core, a massive crystalline reactor that powered the entire world through symbiotic energy drawn from its inhabitants. It was beautiful, pulsing with color like a living heart. But something was wrong with it. Jason noticed that every day, the core's glow dimmed slightly. Technicians whispered about instability. Cerethis avoided the topic. One night, unable to sleep, Jason wandered to the observation deck. Below, the city glittered like starlight scattered on black glass. Cerethis joined him silently. "The core's failing, isn't it?" he asked. Her eyes glimmered with sadness. "Our world's energy depends on harmony between all life and the core. The storms, the decay. It is all connected. The prophecy says the union of alien and native would restore it. But if you do not believe..." Jason sighed. "I didn't believe in fate before this week." "Then perhaps," she said softly, "you should begin." Part 5. The Heart of Viridia. Days passed. Jason studied the Viridian technology, trying to understand the luminal core. It wasn't like any reactor he'd ever seen. It seemed almost organic, responsive to emotion, thought, and connection. It pulsed strongest when people were united, weakest when they were fearful or divided. Cerethis confessed that decades of war and mistrust between Viridia's rival houses had weakened that unity. The prophecy was meant to symbolize renewal, an outsider bringing new light. But Jason wasn't the hero they wanted. He was a pilot with a half-broken ship. Then came the crisis. Without warning, the luminal core began to fracture. Energy storms swept across Viridia, tearing through the sky. Whole districts lost power. The council demanded that Cerethis flee the capital. She refused. Jason found her standing before the dying core, its light flickering violently. "You'll die if you stay here." Her eyes met his. "If the queen abandons her world, it dies anyway." Jason clenched his fists. "There's got to be something we can do." She hesitated, then whispered, "The prophecy speaks of merging the hearts, native and alien, to restore balance. But it may consume us both." Jason stared at the pulsating core. "You mean literally merge?" "Yes. The bond we share could channel new energy into the core, if we give it everything." He looked at her, truly looked, and for the first time saw not just an alien queen, but someone burdened with impossible hope. Someone who'd carried her world alone. "Then we do it," he said. Part 6. The Merge. They stepped together into the chamber. The technicians backed away as the core's energy lashed out like lightning. Jason felt his skin hum, his pulse synchronize with the crystal's rhythm. Cerethis took his hands. "Focus on me," she said. "On the bond." He closed his eyes. He felt her presence, warm, vast, infinite. Their thoughts intertwined, memories overlapping. Her world's birth, his lonely flights through space, her laughter, his pain. They were one. A blinding surge of light erupted. The entire city lit up as if a new sun had been born beneath it. Energy cascaded through the planet's veins. The storms vanished. The air grew still. And then silence. Part 7. The New Dawn. Jason awoke on the same observation deck where he'd first spoken with her. The sky outside was clear, bathed in golden light. The luminal core pulsed steadily once more. He sat up, heart pounding. "Cerethis." She stood nearby, her form flickering faintly, more radiant than before. "It worked," she said softly. "Viridia lives." Jason reached for her, but his hand passed through light. What's happening to you?" "The merge bound me to the core. I am part of Viridia now. Its spirit, its light." His chest tightened. "You can't just." She smiled sadly. "You brought hope back. You fulfilled the prophecy, Jason Cole. Not by fate, but by choice." He shook his head. "I didn't want to be anyone's hero. Perhaps that is why you were worthy." Her image began to fade. "Live well, wanderer. The stars will remember you." And then she was gone. Part 8. Epilogue. The Wanderer returns. Months later, the silver finch soared once more through the void. Jason had rebuilt it using Viridian technology. Sleek, luminous, faster than ever before. The Viridians had honored him as the star consort, though he never felt like he'd earned the title. He kept one crystal on his dashboard, a fragment from the luminal core. It pulsed softly whenever he thought of her. Sometimes when the storms of distant worlds raged and lightning flashed violet, he swore he could hear her voice in the hum of the engines. He smiled. "Yeah," he murmured to the empty cockpit. "Still fixing what's broken." Then he pushed the throttle forward, and the silver finch disappeared into the stars.